is Dave. He knows how to do stuff. Alright, let's make some snares, shall we? So I'm using anything from a 19 to a 22 gauge wire should work. A lot of regulations, they'll specify actually that they don't want anything thicker than 22 gauge. So watch for those regulations, of course. This is galvanized steel wire. So the galvanized, I bought this because of COVID and everything. Canadian Tire wasn't even open. That's typically where I get my brass wire. But that brass wire is what I prefer to this stuff. But this stuff will do, as we will see. So here, let's see here. We cut about, I guess, let's say that's about, to be on the safe side, let's say 2 feet or a foot and a half. Foot and a half or 2 feet of wire. Now here is the secret here. Alright, so you're going to flip that around. Okay, leaving about, what we got here? Say a little more than an inch. You flip that around and you bring it up so you got a hoop about that size. Okay, then you can take your pliers, hold on to that loop, and just begin to wrap that around. So there's one. When you wrap it around, don't be all loose going down far. Wrap it around right on itself if you can. If you can see. So it looks like almost like a hangman's noose thereabouts. And when you get to be about that much, if you can continue trying to wrap it, it's just going to poke through your skin and you're going to bleed like a stuck pig. But use my nail just to get it around as much as I can, and then you give that a little twist so that it's completely horizontal to the wire. And here is what you got. So you're going to take your other end, you're going to put that through, and pull that. Now here's something to watch for. If your loop is really sideways to the wire, you're going to get a lot of resistance of this going in and out. Alright? You don't want resistance. Okay? So what you do is take the time to just sort of rotate that. Use your pair of pliers. And I find this helps if you just give it a little bit of a bend up. So it's like my arm. So it's like comes up. And make sure this is nice and smooth. And you want there to be like no resistance at all. Okay, so let me show you again. This is that trick that I wanted to show you. Take this here. You don't even need pliers. Just flip it up a bit, like so, and you'll find that this slides so much easier than if this were like sideways and then scrubbing against on both sides. So you just want free flow of the wire going through there. If you go like this and it doesn't spring back, you got to straighten that out. And this is about what you're looking for. Let's see here. I guess we got a coffee mug here. Let's use that as a guide. Actually, that's a pretty perfect guide. That's about how much you want it open. So when they're going hoppity hop hop hop, and their head goes right through that, boom, down it goes. They freak out. A few seconds later, they go for a permanent nap. Something to watch out for, you don't want any kinks or anything to impede the sliding action. So for instance, if I had this going on like that, right, and I set my snare and I got some sort of weird irregularity or something, well, look at that. I'm pulling on it and I can feel it clicking and it's like struggling. See how it's stretching? Boom. See, you had to really pull on that. You don't want that. The rabbit will feel that and be like, hey, what's up with that? And shake it off perhaps. So you want this to be nice and smooth. And, just use your fingers and smooth it down like that. And now you've got easily slidable action. Now I just wanted to illustrate something with this galvanized wire. This is something that happens with this wire that you won't get with brass wire. Brass wire, no matter how much you bend it, it'll still not break, within reason anyways. But this stuff, you bend it a couple times and it heats up, and metal stress takes care of the rest, and it snaps, and you don't want that because that means your rabbit's getting away. So let me just show you an example here. If I grab one side here and I do this, you do that a bunch of times, and boom, it's come loose. It snapped, and it's, oh, I can feel it, it's hot. So snapped there, you can see. So, oh jeez, look at that. It busted. I didn't even put any pressure on it there. This is just to illustrate that you could tell those rabbits are being dispatched so quickly, because if they were alive long enough to wiggle, 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 wiggle like that, then, well, they wouldn't be there when I got there. So there's your proof.
All right, let's talk sustainability. First of all, observe all of the regulations and the rules, of course. And most importantly, rotate your spots. It's like anything. You don't want to exhaust your supply. It's silly to do that, when all you need to do is just wait a couple of years, even 1 year. The others move right in where you took the other ones out. And when you get a feel for this, you can see just by looking at the ground how many predators there are, how much activity there is. You can tell how many rabbits there are in a particular area. So of course that, in conjunction with the knowledge of how many they have per year in their litter, and how many litters they have in a year, it will give you an accurate estimation of how many you can sustainably take out of that particular area before you go on and rotate it and allow it to bounce back and go use a different spot. It just makes sense. I mean, remember, we're not in this to harm animals needlessly. We're in here to collect with respect and with sustainability practices in place a resource that we want to be there for our children. So don't over-harvest, and be sure to be thankful for what you have and use every part of it. So the right conditions that you want to wait for are when you've got snow, first of all, and secondly, you want a nice cold, high-pressure zone, because, you know, rabbits, they're kind of like us. If it's like pouring rain or rainy, wet snow, they're going to want to hold up in their dens, and they'll just eat another time. But when the conditions are nice and dry, and doesn't really matter how cold it is, they're suited for it, so they'll be out in it. And snowshoe hares are primarily nocturnal in their activities, so you want to put the snares in during the day towards the end of night, and then go back and check them first thing in the morning. And you're going to be donating the odd one to a fisher, to a wolf or a coyote. It's just a part of it. So we're in prime habitat here for snowshoe hares, and that's what we're going for. And if you're in an area with a bunch of tall deciduous trees, you're not going to find much. But we should be doing good here because, as you can see, we've got somewhat of a trail here, and then we're going to bushwhack it and get into the thick stuff, because you got to be in it to win it, right? All through there, we should be seeing signs of activity. And when you go in, be sure to come out using your same tracks. No sense walking around in there in circles, because when you go back to find your snares, you want to be sure that your tracks will lead you right to them. So you can see, here's where I veered off the trail. Those are my tracks. 2 sets of them, because I came out the exact same way that I went in, to avoid confusion. You don't want to be leaving snares in there. So here we are in the thick of it. You can see there's lots of undergrowth and logs for them to go under, and little areas where they're going to be corralled. And they prefer this to fields, of course, where they can become prey to predatory birds and such. But we can already see signs of animals here. We've got a little deer trail that I came in on. You can see where he's had himself a little poo there, and there's where he slept for the night, melted himself through the snow. And you can already see signs like there. This is what you're looking for right here. Snowshoe hare prints. You can see where they branched off, where he's going around this tree here. So not such a good spot to put a snare as of yet, because you're going to want to be looking for something even more well-traveled than this. He's just been through here once, in accordance to what the snow shows anyways. And we're going to be looking for an area that's more of a super highway than a, this is the equivalent of a gravel road. And there's our super highway. You can see they've traversed this much more than just one single time. And that is what you're looking for. Something like that. So we're going to travel this run, try to find an area where a few different runs converge into one, and that's where you want to put your snare, because you're going to increase your odds. A surefire way to find runs is wherever you see something like a hydro cut, or you see like a field like this, they'll never run right through the middle of it unless they absolutely have to. So along the edges of any kind of clearing like this, you're likely to find an area where it's been corralled like a super highway. And let's see here, let's have a look. Case in point, there you go. So here's an area where they're coming through. You can see they're coming between these branches. And this is a good sturdy enough branch that you could put a snare on it. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So you want to get that around. Give it a couple of good wraps. 1, 2, at least 3. And there you go. Have a look, you can see we're right about head level. So it's going to be going along the run or coming this way. I'll show you this way. And they put their head through there and it quickly tightens. And boom, they struggle. This cuts off their breathing and they just go right to sleep right quickly. If you open this up too big, you could get them around the midsection. And we're not in this to make animals suffer. Another thing that you can do if you're worried about them taking an alternate route, like for instance, they could come along here and sometimes, yeah, they will see the snares and they'll go around them. Here's an alternate route you could take. What you could do is you could just grab any branch and just kind of grab some deadfall and just sort of stick it in there. And they'll see that and instinctively will go for the clear spot into your snare. Don't over corral them, they'll know something's up. Be sure not to stand on the runs, of course. That should go without saying. Here's another good little run. You see it goes right on through the woods like a laser beam. You see an area there where he's gone between these two trees. And but that tree is quite large, so you're going to waste a bunch of wire trying to get around that. So to be patient. They're creatures of habit; they'll take the same runs. So I found a spot here. It's more of a reasonable tree to get a snare around. So you just wrap it around there. That's thick enough; they're not going to break. And there again is a snare. Of course, you want to mark it so you can see it again, just in case it snows and covers your tracks. So I put a little piece of trail tape. A lovely Canadian winter morning. We're going to check on our rabbits. Right on. See that guy? See how well camouflaged they are? There's the trail tape marking the snare. Follow it down and watch for him. And I see some feetsies. Let's go have a look. Yes, sirree, Bob. Somebody gets to eat tonight. So you can see this is a bit of a super highway here. An area where 3 runs become 1. So, and put the snare around this tree. And he ran right through it. Let's have a look. Got him pretty late in the night, early in the morning. because he's not completely frozen yet. And right now it's about 8. So that is a perfect snare. You can see as I unwrap this, boom, right around the neck. And that's what you want. You don't want to open that snare too big and catch him around the midriff. This is the reason why you want to be in real thick area where it's hard to even get through. And when it snows, not only does it give them the coverage they need, because let's face it, let's look at Buddy's feet here. Look how large they are. So, you know, they're able to navigate this snow, especially when they spread. When this guy spreads his toes, he'll be able to get those toes almost as wide as my own hand. I've seen them as wide as my own hand before. And the reason they do that is so that they can get in and out without getting caught by predators. They'll just put the gas on and away they go. Another reason they're in these thick areas and they wait till the snow comes is because the snow will go in the branches and will weight them down and get them to a point where they can reach them. And this is a prime example of that. You can see all the disturbance of the needles there is because, and not to mention all the tracks. You know, you've got loads of tracks here. You can see them all ringing around this branch. So they eat conifers. They're not interested in deciduous trees. So this is where they hop up and they eat all the little ends off the branches, and cedar as well in particular. And you see lots of evidence of their activity. When they're running through, sometimes they'll set it off, and just luck of the draw, their paw or the beat of the track, whatever, their foot will kick it off, and they won't quite get snared. So this has been tripped, so they've been through here, but of course it didn't get them this time. So it's a good thing I double covered this run, because this is the last rabbit that I got was found on this run a little bit further into the woods heading that way. So if I had just had one on there, I wouldn't have got him. And what a lucky day. Not just one, but there is another little feller. Yep, another good snare. And judging by the frozenness, yep, another one caught just before sunrise. So they weren't too active until really late in the night. So you can see, again, that's another perfect snare, right around the neck, and he went to sleep. Don't leave your snares on the trees, no sense cutting off the growth.
Here's Dave. He knows how to do stuff.